This is from a man whose first name is Lisle. He says, I'm a successful 32-year-old male who is very stable emotionally and financially, and I've been told that I'm a real catch. I'm 6'2" with a muscular physique, and most people consider me a solid 9. An attractive woman recently transferred to my department and has made it very clear that she's interested in me. She's even talked to some of my coworkers inquiring why I don't make a move if I'm single, eligible, and looking. I would normally be very interested in her, except for one thing that I can't get past, and for me is a deal breaker. She has a nose ring. I don't mean one of those tiny diamonds on the side of a nostril that you often see on an Indian woman. I mean an actual thick metal ring like you'd see on a bull. It's hideous. Should I tell her to ditch the ring and then I'll ask her out, or just tell her that is the reason that I'm not asking her out? I'm curious, Dr. Lisle, why an otherwise attractive female would desecrate their body with things like nose rings and tattoos, and I can't believe any worthy male would actually find these accoutrements attractive.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
Great question. First of all, whatever this guy is, I don't like him. 32 years old, 6'2", muscular, everybody thinks he's handsome. So right away we're irritated. No. So what you're actually seeing is what the young lady is doing is she's actually signaling openness. So this is a advertisement of her Big Five profile. And so your, interestingly enough, your disgust for that is important for us to note, because we're seeing that this may or may not be a very global Rorschach test for you, but it might be. So we don't know. It could be that you are not very open. Now, people don't like to hear that they're not open, because it's as if open is a great thing and closed is not a great thing. That is not true. These are bell curves in evolution, and the middle of the bell curve is by definition, that is the optimal genotype for the species. So openness is inherently really interesting, because people that are really open have explored parts of the world and survived, and they may have actually have interesting information for us because they have survived. So so they can be interesting. However, we may not want to hang with them and do things with them, because we've heard of 3 harrowing experiences where they damn near died because of their poor judgment of the crap that they got into. So we're interested in hearing, what an opium den looks like and what people are actually doing in there, but we don't want to go with them, and we can't believe that they're going to go to some place like that again. So closed people, meanwhile, are extremely, can be very safe. So it depends upon who it is that, what your circumstances are, whether or not what it is that we are preferring at that instant. However, when it comes to mating, we generally want people that are not too far away from us. They might. I would say, for example, again, nobody in the world has data on this, but my eyeball estimates on these things tend to be pretty good. And so I believe that people get uncomfortable if their partners are more than about 20 percentile different than they are in any given dimension. So you can think about, I know Charles and AJ, they are both very conscientious, okay? So the AJ's might be a little bit more conscientious than Charles. AJ's
not. I am.
Yes. However, it's interesting that a lot of things about them are reasonably close. Okay, so they're neither one of them, they're not wacky open people. They are moderately interesting. So both of them worked in Hollywood. Okay, that's kind of an interesting thing that is true. But when it comes to their tastes on things, remarkably similar. So they don't want to have swirling purple tie-dye curtains in their house. They don't like that. They're not like that. And neither do they want, French, 17th century Louis XIV furniture. No, they don't like that either. Okay, so we see probably tastes in music, all kinds of things will signal how different or similar you are to somebody. And whether someone has tattoo and nose rings is actually, whether you have them or not, your reaction to those things is partially indicative of your own natural openness. So you might be, for example, the questioner might be 50th percentile open. And this young lady's signals are actually signaling 80 plus percentile. And that difference is disturbing. And you're thinking, gee, if only you had a little tiny, if you just had one of those little stud diamonds in your nose, that would be just enough openness to be exciting. But if you put a ring through your nose, now you've gone over the line. Okay. And so now I'm no longer comfortable with you. And so similar types of things. I've hung out with people across my life that, for example, in talking to them, if you ever talk to somebody who's inherently kind of loud or might have a very loud laugh, okay? And it's like, gosh, that's just a little too loud. I can remember being on a date with a gal who her voice and the strength of the voice was just, 25% too forceful. It's like, this is just too inherently masculine, dominant, loud, whatever it is. It's like, no, it's not, it's outside my preference range. And this is like seasoning for your veggie burrito. Like for me, don't put cilantro on it. I don't like it. Somebody else loves the cilantro. Okay, so these are these subtle, natural, individual differences. So when it comes to this young lady, she's interested. You're handsome. You're similar socioeconomic status, working in the same place. You both are very attractive people. It wouldn't be surprising that two very attractive people might find each other appealing. The magic 10% is not as tricky for people that are in the top 90th percentile because there isn't anybody 10% more attractive than they are. So if you happen to be a 95th percentile attractive person, it's not difficult at all to find people that you find attractive that are attracted to you. So the top 10% of humanity lives in their own enclave that the rest of us, we are aware that that's true. You know what I'm saying? So, and so you live in that enclave. And so does probably this young lady live in that enclave. So she's like, why wouldn't any guy be interested in me? They all seem like they are. And you're looking at her and you're like thinking, well, everything about you, your femininity and your attractiveness and the way you move and the way you do your hair, that's all fine, but you're a little too open. And that openness strikes me as revolting because that's too dangerous and too wild and too basically, it starts speaking to low conscientiousness, even though it's not. It's actually a different dimension. It's higher risk taking is what this is. And it's a more garish advertisement of someone's personality. And it's like, no, that's a rule out. Now, here's the thing. This is what I would have you do. I would actually have you, if you would quote, otherwise be interested, then I would ask her out to lunch. Okay. And what you're going to do is you're going to see whether or not you will find out that her personality actually is too open. And if it is, then it is. Then it turns out that effectively you've ruled her out for anything other than casual mating strategy. In other words, you got your intuition that her advertisement is telling you that she's not right for you may be confirmed by an hour lunch date on a Saturday. Okay. So, however, it turns out that hour lunch date on a Saturday, you might find out that she's only a little bit more open than you, that she's really not that open, and that this was a stylistic advertisement of a millennial. And so as a result, it's like you're really interested, but now we've got the problem that you're talking about. So you're thinking one step too quickly. You may find out that you habituate to that crazy nose ring and you don't even think about it after you're focused in on the rest of who this person is, you may see right past it, or you may say to her, on date 3, I just have to tell you that nose ring drives me crazy. So yeah, that's fine. That at that point it's fair, but to what you're thinking about is having her get rid of it early. That doesn't make any sense. So go have an hour and find out whether in that hour you're one of the two of you rules the other one out anyway, and then we see what happens.